You're faster than me.
I just saw everything up there and I thought.
No, I just had it on ready to go, so. And we are good. You're all set.
All right, so 3 o'clock. This is the regular meeting of the Waterville Valley Board of Selectmen, Wednesday, January 12th. Public hearing on the water sewer trash fees is the first thing up for fiscal year 2022. And Mark, just to clarify on this, we did have a discussion about the water sewer trash fees when we put the plan in place, correct?
Yes,
And that
we
was last year, right?
that was last year at town meeting is when you had the new rates ready to go, and the revenues that were forecasted for 2021 represented the change rate.
Okay, so do we have to have this discussion every year? And we
We
have a
have,
rate
we
change?
have to have this discussion anytime you make changes.
Initially, we came up with a 3-pronged raise, and this is year 2 of the 3-pronged raise, correct?
That is correct.
Right, so first year was 15% on the water.
Well, actually, it was a 4-year plan. First year, 15% on water and sewer,
Mhm.
and 100% on the trash,
Was taking us.
which was taking us from residential $5 a month to $10.
To $10 a month, right?
The water and sewer discussion at the time was 15% the first year and 5% for the following 3
3
years
years,
for another 15%.
right?
Okay? The trash fees, we were gonna look at costs and what we have been subsidizing and come back. Again, this year, what we have found is the information I put in your packet on what we've been subsidizing. Plus, we now have the consideration of the move of the transfer station up there, whether or not we want that to be in the cost of the project, or whether we want fees to help cover some of that. What we have proposed in the revenue sheets is another doubling to go from 10 residential to 20.
But not for commercial.
But commercial, we can do whatever we want. We took the gross number and doubled it, so it would be commercial as well.
Okay,
But that varies on the number of tips,
right.
that number of collection
They're
times,
not on a
and
set.
the size of the dumpster and all of that. So it's a little more complicated on the commercials.
Okay.
So,
Okay, so this particular public hearing is on the changes in fiscal year 2022,
correct,
which is to take the trash fees from $10 to $20 a month.
correct. For residential. No,
No.
it's per month, so it would go from $30 to $60 per quarter.
It used to be 15,
It used to be
$15 a quarter.
$15.
yeah, and it went to 30 last year. And now we're proposing taking it to 60, which was part of the plan we discussed at town meeting
Yes.
last year. And then on the water sewer fees, this is, we had a plan of 15%, 5%, 5%, 5%.
Correct.
This is the first year in which we'd be putting in a 5% increase. for
That's
the water. Okay, okay.
And the background to all this, for anyone who may be listening, is that we're trying to shift the cost from the tax rate to a user fee to pay for the water, sewage, and trash operation of the town.
Under the fee system.
That
Because
currently
one of
exists
the
under fee system.
one of the
Right.
downsides on a lot of our requests for assistance grants and the state revolving fund monies and things like that for these projects, part of the evaluation criteria is how much of your system is paid for through user fees.
Right.
So it is the same people, it's, because we're a one-town operation and all of these things, it's it's either pay it through the tax rate
Right.
or pay it through
as-
the user fees,
Right.
because it's the same people paying in either case. So we're not getting credit. Everybody is paying for it through their tax rate, but we're not getting any credit for what we are spending to run these departments when it comes to the state. Because they only look at the user fees, not the percentage that's taken from the tax rate. So that's another potential argument for increasing.
And what do you mean by getting credit from the state?
Well, it's part of the evaluation criteria, so you get points the higher your user fees are.
Mhm. And what can you get for your points?
You get additional percentage grant eligibility and things like that. That's one of the main, that and the household income have been the two biggest stumbling blocks for us in getting qualified in these projects. That's why we started the whole wastewater treatment plant project eligibility for the state revolving fund loan forgiveness. We started at 2%. Part of that was because of the household income, but some of it was because we have the lowest water and sewer rates in the entire state.
Mhm. Okay,
So
all right, well, that's great background. We have a number of members of the public here. Do we have any people that want to comment on the proposed changes in the water sewer trash fees for 2022? No? Well, hearing no comments from the public, I'm going to close the public hearing. And Mark, do we have to take a vote to put those into effect?
if you want to, yes,
Or we don't have to?
you don't have to at this point. in
When will they
time.
go into effect? Would they be retroactive from this bill or going to the next bill?
We would, the next bill is the first quarter, so we are because we bill in arrears.
Mhm.
So if you vote to do it now, we can have it effective as of January 1st. Have it in the first quarter tax bill, or we can put it in for the second quarter and adjust the revenues accordingly, however you want.
Well, we want it to be effective for all of 2022.
And if
correct?
that's what we are recommending.
Right, right. So I would recommend that we implement the water and sewer trash fees that we have discussed here, and that's a 5% increase in water and sewer and a $10 a month increase. $20,
It's $10 per month
$10 a month increase, which is
for the
actually
residential.
for
And how do
residential
you want to
trash.
handle commercial?
I think we need to come back with a formula from Jim on commercial as to where we need, because how we came up with these numbers initially were not out of our hat. We took a formula of what it cost us to operate and what we were paying, and we had a severe deficit going into our solid waste program over the last few years.
Yes.
What we did was we looked at a gradual way of getting to a break-even point on solid waste. And these are the numbers that we came to.
Yeah.
To bring us to where we needed to get, to have this operating at a revenue fairly neutral.
Yeah.
Setting.
What was the proposed change for commercial in
So I
2022?
don't think we talked.
What we did in the revenue estimate that we included with the budget was to take, as an example, and this would be on the same percentage basis. So the numbers are different, but it is a doubling. It would go from the 8-yard dumpster is a $44 per quarter charge for the dumpster. That would go to 88. And the per tip amount, which is every time we visit the dumpster and empty it, it currently right now is $19.25. That would go to $38.50.
So that's doubling.
That would be doubling for both of those. Now, it's different if it's a 10-yard dumpster or a 6-yard dumpster. They're different.
How many dumpsters do we have right now approximately?
75 or so.
Yeah.
So if you look, I had included a sheet that showed you the years and the differences and how much the subsidy has been over the years. We, as Mike said, we were running between 141 and 199 or $200,000. So that's what we were paying out of the tax rate to do solid waste collection and disposal. In 2021, given what we collected in revenue, when we made the 15% change in the resident or in the, I'm sorry, when we did the increase from $5 to $10 residential, and the commercial numbers, we got that deficit down to 109,000. Okay, so we still are subsidizing
Correct.
the department with tax or with tax money for $109,000. So that took it down basically in half. So if we did this one more increase, our projection would be that will be very near breakeven.
Right, that's why we
For
did
the,
that.
for the
And
solid waste.
for solid
Right.
waste.
Right.
Okay, so that's why we included this recommendation. If you want to go half of that the first year and do it over a 2-year period, we can do that, but we're still not breaking.
Yeah, but wait a second. I think it's fair that we at least pass on the same amount of increase to commercial customers. that we are looking at. Now, in the numbers you figured for our 2022 budget,
Yes,
is there any increase in the commercial?
yes,
And that's the issue. you
that's
told
the
us
increase
about.
I just went over.
Okay, and is that proportionate
It
to the increase?
It's a, it's
for
the same
ours,
thing.
Yeah,
We're doubling
yeah,
everything.
no, I just want to be sure.
We're
that-
doubling everything, and that is important for people.
I agree.
I don't have a problem with it.
No, I don't,
And that brings us to the goal we set in town, being approved and stuff.
right.
Right, and so we're getting to that point.
Very
Yeah.
close to it. And then the water and sewer, we still have 2 more years.
That's right. And the good thing here is this includes our capital requirements as well. So we've got that in the calculation. So it's the operating money and the capital, like the truck. and things like
Okay. So I think I made a motion
that. Okay.
to adopt those, and can I have a second?
I was like,
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Alrighty, privilege of the floor. We have several visitors with us today. Lori, did you want to talk to us? No, they just wanted to come.
I just wanted to hang out. No, I wanted to be part of the budget. Just pay attention to the budget.
Tom?
Curiosity.
Okay. All right. Any other privilege of the floor? Approval of minutes from December.
I couldn't find more than your questions. I don't think anyone.
it was below 0.
It was close.
That for stall.
And I think your change of font was a nice.
I try to stay away from that happy thought. But if you be happy about it.
All right, so can I have a motion to approve those minutes as we amended them?
I'll make that motion.
I would second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Financial reports, fiscal year 22 budget review, guidance on the budget presentation. So Mark, just before we started, you gave us some news about the change from the CPI.
Yep, the consumer price index came out this morning. It is
This is for December.
December, or, well, so for calendar year 2021. The CPI New England region number is 6.2%, and the national number is 7%. So we have historically used the October number in our first calculation of the personnel cost of living adjustment, if any. And then we revisited it at the end of the year, this time each year and to just find out if we want to make any changes.
Well, for the past few years, there hasn't been a lot of movement.
There has
Between
not been.
October, this is kind of a lot of movement.
It is.
Significant.
Yeah,
It was, it's 5.4, so it's almost,
Almost two.
almost. two.
Almost 2 from what we were using for our budget discussions.
So, I mean, again, we have had increases from, 1 to 1.5% for the past 10 years, other than the adjustment when we adjusted the entire pay. Which was actually, when I looked at it, and that was, the first one was in 2012. So 2012 and then 2018 have been the two plan adjustments.
I would make a suggestion in that it is such a significant increase to the budget as it stands with the 5.4. That we leave the 5.4, but we also look at the whole town pay structure in the summer. Let them do that. Because I think with all of the increases and everything else, it's just not the COLA that towns and people will be dealing with as far as going forward. So I think that's just my thought.
yeah, I mean, we've already, when we talk about personnel costs in the 2022 budget.
Right.
We already know that we had to make some adjustments,
We had
for
to make a
instance, in
couple.
seasonal labor. Went up quite a bit, because we just could not attract
We weren't
people at the rates, we were not competitive, and we have to always look at those things, whether it's.
No, I get you. So I would say sooner than later, and Brooke is asking for speak up.
Can you hear us?
Can you hear us, Brooke?
I can hear you, but the paper shuffling near the mic is really loud.
Okay, we'll be careful.
So the answer is I can barely hear you.
Okay,
Okay,
we'll be
Alright.
careful.
so you think we ought to leave it at 5.4?
Well, that's your call. I'm just giving you my opinion.
See, if we do our thing, mid-year, we're not gonna be able to
No.
take action because we won't have money in the budget for it.
But on the other hand, you look at the sort of COLAs that people on social security are getting, they're not getting 7%.
Right.
They got like 5 point something% as well. I know that we try to keep up. And I've looked through the years and we've gotten close, but there have been a few years we've been a bit low.
The reason I'm suggesting this is if this index goes down significantly next year, are we gonna go to our people and go, hey, by the way, you're getting a pay cut this year? Because the index has gone
It only
down.
ratchets one
It-
way.
It's such, but it's such, the increases are so dramatic, is the point I'm making the swings.
And,
And if I'm wrong, if I'm wrong, there can always be an adjustment made to the following year. As well, as aside from the other stuff.
I imagine you haven't had an opportunity to look at the impact of a 6.7, you said,
7 point.
6.2.
it's 6.2.
6.2 versus a 5.44. What the impact of the tax rate would be.
I thought it was 7.4. you were talking
No.
about.
No, 6.2 versus 5.4, it's less than.
Point
Oh,
eight.
it's 0.8. I thought it was 2%.
No,
0.8.
it's less than a percent.
The
Yeah.
data point, social security went up 5.9. Almost 6.
Yeah. Make it an equal 6. And if,
Because a half a
and,
percent is,
yeah, and I thought it had only been a couple of years since we did our last
yeah.
look at
but-
positions when we talked the other day.
And
So,
even then, Margaret, in 2018, when we did that adjustment, the CPI was 1.7, and we ended up at 2.3 as our adjustment.
okay,
But that
so,
was when we moved based on market conditions.
So I think we ought to move to the 6th, and we ought to communicate that we are gonna be looking at the structure again this year for potential adjustment in 2023.
Okay.
I would suggest if you're going to go to 6, you know, put the 6.2 and continue with the policy of running the CPS.
Yeah,
Yeah, for the O2.
That's fine.
And we look this year. Market.
Right.
So we really won't have a good figure for what the impact will be for this discussion on the,
Not
On
for
the tax
this
rate.
discussion, but I can take that forward to tomorrow.
Well, that could also be, the difference is 0.8 of how much is the person, just ballpark figure, personnel cost. Insurance, retirement.
Well, should be around 30,000 total, because it's 2.1. Well, but that just complicates the wording of it. I can.
Or,
we'll
fund-
do it.
yeah, or, you know what I mean, it's $30,000, so.
Well, we can decide in October to use.
I'm sorry, what's the 30,000?
30,000 is 1% of total.
Right,
It's what the difference is gonna be from what his budget is and what by giving people 6.2 is gonna be.
it's adding 30,000,
30.
Roughly.
30, 40, and the
And
tax
that-
rate that is.
But just pull it from fund balance.
Well, and I think the way our budget is set up right now, that the vast majority of the increase we are seeing is because of personnel
Right.
costs.
Right.
And I do want to talk about fund balance. when we
Right.
get into the rest of it.
But if we use tax rate, what would it be? What's the 30 or 40,000? Again, ballpark.
Oh,
Any- Okay.
Alrighty.
And that's on the old valuation.
That's correct.
So that's.
It'll be
Very
totally different.
Yeah.
Guidance remark on the budget presentation.
Yeah, so two things, as far as anything within presentation itself that you want me to particularly go over, or what, anything you want me to stress. I was planning on personnel being the item.
Right.
144,000 of the increases from not using any fund balance, which I'd like to discuss less clearly. And something like that.
And I
what
think
else?
people need, I'm not sure this is operations, but I think people need an update on the 5 million that they authorized last year and the various goings on and how much we may be able to get in reimbursement.
Yeah.
and That type of thing.
Yeah.
A couple of things that come to my mind is, right now, we're looking at a tax rate impact of about $1.22. We haven't talked about use of fund balance yet. And that is the largest increase in what, 15 years, a year?
Richard, is in the school in that?
I'm sorry.
No, that's
Is he in the
just,
school?
No, that's just the town.
Okay.
And that was one of the points I was gonna come to.
Okay.
Last year, we had an increase of $1.41 total for all 4 elements. Right now, we're at 121 just for the town portion of it. So we're probably gonna have to discuss why that is so. I mean, it's so out of character.
well,
for
it's
this town.
all being driven by personnel costs, because we're adding
We're
We're
adding
adding
people.
2
Right.
new FT, well, actually 2.5.
Personnel, and inflation.
FTEs and the inflated costs of utilities and materials. I mean, it's all coming kind of together in 1 year.
But I'm thinking of bond issues too, and the information that we put out earlier.
But with the bond
Yeah.
issues, one of the things we talked about with all these stresses, is the department heads made an excellent presentation of why we're bonding, where we're bonding, and what the money was going for. Like, Pat, you've got a bunch of stuff. This year, Dave, you got stuff. And Dylan will always have stuff.
But the things for Dave and for Patrick will not be bond.
Right, but it's still
They're
an
capital.
it's still money we're spending.
Yeah.
on
Oh,
stuff.
yeah, yeah.
And the other thing, one thing people need to know is that if the 6.2% is not just in salaries, it's all across the board, because you're paying percentages of everything.
Yeah, supplies,
This,
material.
the stated retirement, required benefits that are based on that salary stuff, so that goes up 6.2, the other part goes up 6.2. And we have no control over that.
And I think it's worth mentioning what those percentages are. For
Okay.
Well, we always get something back. Well, the false number is we get, most years we get a check back from them.
From some form of our
Yeah.
insurance.
I think the other thing to stress too, and this will be, I think, to be important, to be very careful here, but valuation, the full valuation have a real impact on what people see in the tax bills. So it may be worthwhile to discuss somewhat. But that is occurring, a full valuation is occurring this year, right now in 2022. And the impact that could possibly have as the pie will be getting bigger, presumably.
That's it, exactly. It's
Right.
They should equalize out to a degree, but we have no things coming down the road.
That's right. I mean, I'm not saying these are, anyone's tax bill is going to go down, but the impact of the tax rate increase may be less than what.
Well, it will be
here.
different for
Right.
different tax groups.
That's
So
true.
what's going to happen?
That's why it has to be a
is
very
we,
difficult discussion.
right, we know right now that sales are somewhere around 30% ahead of our current valuations on profits. When you look at the entire town.
Right.
And that number will be different for different types of properties.
Right.
So some properties went up even more than 30%.
So we're up 100%.
And some went up 100%. And then you have other properties that maybe stayed or may, I don't think anything dropped across town.
Maybe closer to
They're
the
closer
15,
to
20%,
10, 15%.
whatever the average.
Right, exactly. So what's gonna happen is those tax bills, if you're on the 10 to 15% increase, your gross tax bill, the amount that you pay
Right.
is actually gonna go down. Whereas if you went up 100%, you may see an increase that's 2 or 3
Right.
times. So
Yes,
You gotta
monthly
be
vary
careful.
because you got
Right.
a growing pie and
that's what.
shifting
I think if we have
percentages.
time in our town meeting,
Mhm.
we could get the new guy, what's our new assessor's name?
Stephen.
If he could come up with, he's a DRA guy, he could really do a nice presentation for people, so they'll really understand instead of panicking. And they won't lose it when they get the tax bill. So we'll save him a lot of work for people coming in wanting abatement conversations. It's fairly simple if someone can explain it and put it out in the big fancy pictures.
I mean, it's gonna be the total tax bill that people will see when they open the envelope. It was a 10% increase last
Well,
year.
what's gonna happen is they're gonna see the new valuation first and then
Yeah.
realize that.
Well, and they're gonna get a notice,
Right.
back in
Right,
August or September,
right,
and, here's your new value.
right.
And if they
That's
start
right. They will see that
multiplying,
first, right.
if they start multiplying by 1455, they're
Now we're
going
at
to.
1566.
We're at 15 and
1566,
growing.
I'm sorry, and growing. But if they do that multiplication,
The eyes are pop out.
your eyes are gonna
Yeah.
pop out.
Yeah.
But it's not gonna be 1560. It's gonna be something less.
Because the total value of
Because
property
it's
in
at
the
the
town.
That's gonna help.
It's almost like a completion backward. Like
Mhm.
the budget is done with the
Right.
variable.
Yeah. See, I've always felt that they're there's value in just having an example. I don't know whether this guy does the presentation or
Well,
whether you
no,
do
it's-
a hypothetical town that has this much property
No,
value.
that's what Steve.
The reason we took Steve was he has a background with DRA, so I'm sure he's done this 100 times. So he would have the stuff in his briefcase to be a really, he's been asked the question a million times, so he probably knows how to present it to create the least confusion.
That'd be good.
Or if I did it, I just tell people just that heads would be smoke would be coming out of you.
So,
I think it would be good to point out where we are in the state when it comes to tax burden. That we're at the low end, we're at quite, very much at the low end, from out of 100 and at the bottom.
Turn, that's because our property values are so. high.
Yeah,
it's a double-edged sword.
It is, but
It's not worth telling. It looks good for a chart, but it's really good. Really haven't much else.
Can we talk about use of fund balance? I included a sheet. I included a sheet in there for you. And if you remember, we had a conversation at that element budget. About what our actual fund balance is opposed to what the state has it down for. That has the orange highlight. So right now, the state has our fund balance because of what we reported to them of 557,592. That's about an 8.1% of our, of our budget. Okay, of our total budget. And the actual fund balance, the reason that the fund balance is low is because we did not borrow the bond authorization that we have. So we actually spent money towards the project, but no revenue.
And how much money is that?
That is, well, it is not just for the project, but for any
Cumulative of all this
cumulative.
money that we will be reimbursed to our funds when
It
bonds
will-
come.
it is 269,000.
270.
That's the number that's right on the sheet.
I'm sorry,
Next to
no,
the
no.
orange.
No. It
What
is-
kind of things?
it is
So we're
237.
so 237. So we're in high sevens. Almost.
I said it was lower. And that's what I tell you here with this. It should be this 827. Right. Okay. So, all right, and if it were the 827, we would be right at the percentage that we've been carrying every year, basically. Right, we would be at 12.5%. And then, in addition to that, we are gonna return this year, we're estimating, end of 21. We're gonna be putting in $269,400 back in the fund. So if you take that adjusted $827,000 number, that would make our fund balance as of 12/31/20. Almost.
949.
940.
Okay. That 200,000 you're talking about,
Mhm.
return, is that from operations or is that from?
It is a combination of unanticipated revenues and underspent operations.
Okay, nothing else, no other.
Nothing.
Designated.
No. So, what I'd like to know is, could I put in the cash capital items, there are two. The public safety weapons and the rebound project, which are both one-time purchases. They're not any item. Take that 81,000 out of fund. Because right now it's being funded
If
with
it's in the budget.
cash
And we usually use fund balance one time.
or one-time items. That's what we have historically done.
And that will be, that is no, there's no, well, there's no, that's just 900 and
Out of the notion
49.
940,
949.
that's the number that is. So there's that category, there's $81,000, and then there's the capital reserve accounts, which we have historically also funded with fund balance. That's another 40,000. So it would be a total of 120,000. That would still give us in excess of $800,000 in fund balance at the end of 2021 for this year. Still puts us within, the 12%, 10 to 12% range. So we are basically where we have historically been year to year. And we can have a good reserve both for cash availability for the checking account, if you will, paying bills between tax payments. And we can have a reserve that you can use a larger number in 2023 or as we start borrowing the money for the project.
And what would the impact be on the tax rate?
Well, it lowers the tax rate. If we do both, it lowers the tax rate impact number to 85 cents instead of $1.29. It takes us down to 98 cents if you just do the.
So you want to do the 81,000, and then the rest of the money is you're taking,
So I'm recommending the 120. Two cash
right, I got
projects
that.
and the capital reserves.
So what are you doing with the capital reserves? You want to take the capital reserves of those and put those back into fund balance, or take those?
Take the money out of fund balance to fund the capital reserve so that we have it, so that we can spend it. Because if we don't do that, you
Okay,
can't spend out of fund balance during the year.
but these the roughly $40,000 you're talking about pulling out of unspent money. Now, that unspent money, I had asked a while ago if that unspent money was considered in the capital reserve. I mean, in the undesignated fund balance, was it designated? So this is designated money, which we always return every year to the fund balance. So what we're saying is, it's two steps. You take these accounts, you liquidate them back into the fund balance, and then you wipe them out.
That's right, then we take it out of the fund
Okay.
balance and
But
put it
my
in.
but my question is, are those including the 557? No,
No.
okay, they're not. So it's really a wash to the fund balance, that 40,000, because you're really not, you have to say you're taking it from fund balance,
So,
but you're putting it into fund balance and taking it out of fund balance. Because it's not in this 557 number, but it's in the bank. over
Yes.
here.
okay. That is.
For those playing at home,
No, I see what you're saying. Yes, right now, if it's sitting in the reason that I want to make the change is
Right.
because if it's just sitting in fund balance, we can't access it during the year.
Right.
Okay, but again, like you're gonna do later on here with all of our capital accounts, you evaluate all of those capital accounts every year. And if you don't need them, you liquidate the money back. to fund. Okay,
this 40,000,
yes.
in any of those accounts, or any of those Jim and Dylan, or anything that we might run low on for the year, that we should think about rolling over before we blanket say, let's throw it back in?
No, we have a sheet here that I use, I go through that. for you.
Right, I saw that.
It's.
The yellow highlights.
Yes,
on
with
it.
the yellow highlights right here. So the capital reserve accounts are for the cruiser maintenance, fire apparatus maintenance, the solid waste truck capital reserve fund, which can be used for maintenance or replacement. All of these is the gray right here. That's what we're talking about with the capital reserve. So it's these, anything that says CA. Right here. It's all
Okay.
these numbers.
All right, if we've gone through it,
So-
we think it's fine, go ahead, as far as I'm concerned.
I mean, that's just a historical way that we have done it, is to make it accessible money, like Mike says, because if it's sitting there in capital in undesignated fund balance and we have a problem during the year, we can't just go in and use it. We've got to be authorized year to year. to do it. And that's the reason.
I do have one question on the The Curious George Cottage, it seems, what do we give them, 25,000, and they only spent 4,800?
No, this is separate, this is the building maintenance.
That's what I'm talking about.
We give them 25,000 a year
Right.
for
Do
operation.
you remember what,
But not for the building.
Not for the building.
okay, this was that one time thing we did last year?
That's
Now,
correct.
if we take that back, are they asking for it again this year?
No, what? No, it would be just the 25.
But my question is, if we gave them 50,000 last year,
Mhm.
and they didn't spend the whole 50,000, don't they think they want that other 20,000 we're taking back now at some point?
We're not taking that back.
We're not taking it back, it's right here.
It's
It's 20,206.
right, but it's in your gray list here.
No, it's a capital reserve.
I
It's
understand.
only gray because it's a capital
I
reserve.
understand what you're talking about, talking about putting that back into, until the big fund balance and then putting it up.
I should, it will, all of these will be encumbered. They will maintain.
Okay, so
It's gonna be rolled over next year. This isn't going away.
see, I thought this money coming in.
Only the ones that take paid are the ones
All
that
right.
are going away.
You told me it was in the gray line, so I had it in the gray line.
Only these.
No, no,
are being
I've
closed.
got you, but you told me what it was. Oh, okay.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry,
Capital reserve.
I misread, sorry.
So we're closing some capital accounts and using that money
That one goes back. and
back into the fund balance. And, but you,
We are encumbering the rest. So that
right,
means.
you're
it's gonna be
encumbering the rest,
available.
and there's a warrant
Next year.
article on one of them.
Yes.
But what, let me get back to, what is this $40,000 that is somehow going?
It's $13,000 here from the sludge drawing maintenance. And
No.
17,000.
No, because they spent
we
the
said close.
13,000.
Right here. Capital reserves on your budget summation. Capital reserve. account. These three. The road reserve, the fire apparatus, and the capital reserve that we had last year, we were asking,
Right,
okay? This 20,000, this 10, and this 10.
yeah,
These numbers right now in this calculation of the bottom line of being paid for with tax. Historically, we have paid for those accounts to be paid for by fund.
Okay,
Okay, if they're paid for by fund balance, they don't hit the tax. rate.
so what is the 40,000 separate from what we saved from operations? And
Yes,
Yeah.
it's totally.
You're
So
moving
you're
it
just
from
saying-
there to.
yeah.
Correct.
Okay, so you're just saying you want to use 40,000 of fund
Of
balance
the fund
for
balance.
those,
To
for
fund
those,
these
Those
accounts.
three,
fund those.
plus the 80.
Plus the 81,000 for the other two projects.
And those are all warrant articles,
They will be separate.
Right.
So,
separate warrant articles.
so the 80,000 or so
Mhm.
is against the tax rate. The 40,000 is to fund these projects.
All 121,000 against the tax rate. Right.
In the budget.
Right.
The way that this number is, with this percentage increase, this dollar amount increase, that includes 121,000. That I'm saying, let's use fund balance for, it will reduce this total amount. And it will take this $1.21 impact, and it will lower it to 85 cents per pound. That's what.
And we will maintain a
And
historical
we will
level of
maintain
the
our-
fund balance.
Cool.
Well, we're a little bit lower than normal, but we're still within the ballpark.
We're within $40,000 to $50,000. So.
All right, just one
Yeah. Yeah.
Not done yet.
No, I'm done.
So you need. You need us to-
No, I will make the
You're gonna make
adjustment.
the adjustments, okay.
And I will resend you these items.
What about now on the capital account balances that we have? Do you need a vote from us?
Yes,
on
that I need a vote from the auditor to maintain the ones or close the four that are shown to be closed and maintain everything. That's the one with
One of those, we need a warrant article to change.
Yes, because it's a capital reserve fund account, it has to be a warrant article.
Okay,
Spend
so
that
we
penny
can,
somewhere.
Well, no, they actually wouldn't let us set the bank up because you can't zero out the account.
Really?
okay.
So,
So we have to vote to close those
Those
four
four.
accounts.
and maintain
And-
encumber everything.
But then town meeting has to vote. to
I'm gonna
close
work
one
with
of them,
DRA and hopefully we can,
penny.
you know,
Not have a warrant
Not
article
have
to
a warrant
close them.
article.
Any- Yeah. Okay, so
Okay.
I'm gonna make a motion that we close the following capital account.
Mhm.
The toxicity corrective CRF, which has a balance of 1 penny in it. The Corcoran Pond Dam Reserve, which has no balance left in it. The,
Wait a minute.
No, it has
$4,200.
$4,200.
oh, it has $4,291.49
Yeah.
left in it. The recreation bus, which has $2,113.10 left in it.
Yeah, that was the lease.
Right. And the sludge drying maintenance, which has $1,022.15. I have a second on that.
Well, yeah, I would second that with the amendment that we take all those funds.
No, but they
But
go,
then
they
they
go
go
to
on
fund
that going
balance.
fund balance. I second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, okay. We already voted on the proposed fees for water, sewer, and trash. We have some proposed fees for recreation
Hey Brooke,
department.
you there? You go to sleep?
I'm here. I don't know if that was handed out, though.
No, not yet. Do you have it available to share on? the screen?
Nope, I don't.
Made the changes that we talked about.
Next meeting.
Yeah. we'll have to do it. I'm sorry, Brooke. I didn't get a chance to distribute it.
And then
Okay, should we just distribute it at a later time and do a separate vote on that?
Do we have any other fees?
No, there are no other fees.
No other fees that were adjusted.
That were
Do we
just
have to go to the recreation department, please?
their town fees.
Because the revenue,
Yeah.
Because they are-
That two-page thing of
Oh, yeah,
fees.
no,
that we-
I got you.
Yeah.
But that is, so we will get that out tomorrow. And we'll get it okay. So that she can advertise.
And also so that I can go to the WVRA.
Right. And change, right, because we're behind on that submission.
We're gonna, you wanna meet prior to our next meeting?
All right, let's do it by email.
I guess, I could just tell you about the boat fees that are increasing, because that's really the pressing thing, which would be, as we talked about in the budget presentation, we proposed that we move the fees up from $15 to $20 and from 20 to 25 to match what they are charging over at Echo. It's the same boats, and it's a great comparison that's local. So that's our proposal for 2022.
Well, I would propose that we approve those boat fees for 2022,
I'll second that.
$20 and $25. And Mike just seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
So does that give you what you need to go to WVRA?
Yes, and all the other things can wait probably until the next select board meeting.
Okay,
Because those are all the camp fees, correct?
Camp fees and just, the other fees that we talked about, but those won't have an impact on the WVRA.
Spoke to some out-of-town pickleballers, they didn't have a problem at all. They were kind of laughing at how cheap it was, as it is now.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear that, Mike.
You won't have any problem with the pickleball fees, they all understand how low it is now.
the current pickleball fees.
Yep,
like we-
and yeah, so that's part of it, and I'm gonna try to provide I can try to provide some comparisons for that particular one. But I do think that there's not gonna be a problem with that change.
Those numbers are already reflected in this budget.
Yes.
Yeah.
we could- Yeah.
Okay, we're down to department head reports, and Brooke, as long as you're there, you can report for us.
Sure. So this weekend, we are looking ahead at an extended weekend. We have bingo and our Bigfoot walk going out on Saturday and Sunday. And then we also are hosting a safe sitter course on Monday because there's no school and that's already full. So we have another, weekend of activities, including basketball, pickleball, our Tots and Mats program for the holiday weekend.
Anything else?
Nope, not at this time. Just, getting ready for starting to look at staffing and, the summer at this point. We're getting a lot of calls for camp registration. We face this every year where a lot of Massachusetts camps open their registration first of the year, essentially. So we do get a lot of calls because people are wanting to plan their summer and want to get some time in here. So we're just giving them the same answer that we normally do, which, will be mid-March after town meeting is when we'll open our camp registration. But we're just preparing for that and everything else that's going on at the rec. After school is not happening this week because of a conference, and that will resume next Monday. Or excuse me, next Tuesday.
Great. Dylan?
Not much to report. Everything is going well. No issues at the plant, no issues on the water side, which is good.
Just like
Fingers-
at first.
Don't jinx it.
Yeah, complain.
We haven't We haven't got to Saturday yet, don't
Yeah,
jinx it.
Sorry.
with the cold, which is good. That was the first real cold snap that we've had of the year, and we haven't had any issues on either side, which is glad to see that. I was worried going into last night anyways, up on Bean Bender, that area. Typically always have some sort of issue up there when it gets that cold. But all in all, everything's going well.
David?
Sure. We are a go for a vaccine clinic, and I'd like to thank Tori. We partnered up with the Academy to host a vaccine clinic at the Tom Barbeau Training Center on January 22nd. It's going to run from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. It is open to everyone. It is walk-in, no registration needed, and every type of vaccine will be available, 5 and over. So we'll have a couple staff members there, just help facilitating. The state mobile vaccine van, they bring their vaccinators. We're just gonna, between Tori and our department, will be helping with setup chairs, that sort of thing, and observation and helping folks that if they can't come into the building, we can assist them out in the parking lot there. So we're gonna start advertising the mountain goat copy. We do have a survey out that Tori was nice enough to put together for us to get us a rough estimate of how much vaccine they need to bring. So if you know anybody who is planning on going, just click that link. I sent it out on tip 411 today. It went out on an email. It's on our website. Just click that link and it's a 2 questions. How many people and what do you get? What are you looking to get? Pfizer.
Include the boosters.
It does. Yep. Yeah. So we're excited for that. We had a handful of us, including myself, that worked the booster blitz in Ashland. And just in the Ashland site, we did 283 folks that came in there. So, and just so everyone knows, that site is open 6 days a week but you got to register ahead of time. It is fairly easy if you go to the state vaccine website. You can just click the link for that. Other than that, we did get state approval for an EMT class that's going to start in February. Jeff Drockman's going to be teaching that class. Just reaching out interagency, we probably got about 10, which is a good number for that class. But we're going to firm up the numbers here in the next week or 2. You're advised, we're working with the ice arena and the sprinkler company over there. They still were able to have their tournament over the weekend. They got things cleaned up in the domestic water. Excuse me.
Yeah, what happened?
There was a sprinkler. They had frozen pipes.
Yeah.
And the
Again?
yeah, it was about 5 different leaks. We had that one little warm spell in the middle of last week and discovered that they had a number of broken pipes there. And the sprinkler company is in there, say it's going to be quite an extensive repair. So they are out of sprinkler protection, but for the time being, but for as long as they have staff in the building, the fire alarms still work, the heat smokes are all still operational. And if we needed to, we could still turn it on if we need to. But as of right now, it hasn't really changed anything, but they're not quite sure when they can get those repairs done.
Any estimate on that? The time, money left?
Is it our time? I'm sorry. But it's a deduction from the cost.
Well,
We've got to
we
figure
gotta
out.
talk
how to fix
whether or
it.
not it's maintenance or whether it's capital improvements. Because they're not improving anything,
But
they're
it's-
maintaining
Yeah.
the
Mhm.
system.
Right.
And so I would argue that this is a maintenance thing, not a capital program. I don't think we should go against that.
Other than that, we heard from Special Olympics because of their current COVID guidelines, they will not be having a winter games here. That's usually the end of February, early March. But just to let you know, they won't be doing that here again this year. And we talked about during the budget hearing, the ESO Firehouse software. I talked with Mark. I had got an original quote and we had taken portions of that software out. And I would like to add back in the asset management bundle of that program software. What that does is it allows us to keep track of our equipment and our vehicles. And speaking with Jeff and And Jim, we can actually share that, that software with them for all the vehicle maintenance. So that software will track all the maintenance, track who the vendors are. You can put your invoices right in there, all of that information. And it's not just vehicles, it's everything. So we get new air packs. It tracks any time that we service them and keeps our maintenance record for that. And it's a difference of $3,044 to the initial cost. We split that up. I believe we put it in the fire budget and the police split that up. And if we did, I'd like to ask if I could add that back in.
85.1 cents.
Yeah,
I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Other than that, if Pat has anything wants to add for, hopefully we can.
They have your people.
Can I grab some numbers? I'm reading in minutes from the WVRA that there are issues going on with hockey. And I don't know how we have an active role in that, in public safety, and should the selectmen be involved as far as getting back to the basics that we had in the past, as far as enforcing and creating the code of conduct. You know, I've seen that it's been given to teams, but you know, I don't have to restate, Dave's been here through this, Pat, I don't think you were.
I'll be, I don't know now how not to be blunt. It's one establishment and it's not an issue for the selectmen. It's barely an issue for the police department.
Okay.
So we are having an issue. I'm taking a break from it this week because we just keep saying it to this all the time, that if you don't want the team there, ask them to leave. It is your establishment. You are renting the rooms to them. Simply ask them to leave.
Right. And you've spoken to management on that.
That is in conversation with management, and they're not asking the teams to leave. They're having an issue with them on Friday night, and they're calling us on Saturday, telling us Saturday at noon, we had an issue with them. Okay, ask them to leave. Wow, we don't want to ask them to leave. Then they call us 11 o'clock at night when that same group is heavily intoxicated and they want the whole team to leave. It's just, it's
Does
not
it make
making much
to ask
sense.
them to get their own private security and have their security in their business?
We've talked to them about that as well. We've discussed every option with them that we think is a good option for them.
If you need some help getting to the board of directors of either of these facilities, I don't have a problem contacting the people I know on these boards.
Can I
Yeah.
contribute to this conversation? Because I was there for the WVRA conversation about this. And I think really what is wanted is for the hockey academy to take a little bit of responsibility for it. So if their teams are not abiding by the code of conduct, which all the lodges should have, I mean, that's, I think, also a point that needs to happen, then the hockey academy itself would, be the ones to, inflict the consequences towards the team, because the lodges don't want to have to do that.
I know, we've already been down this road and we've gotten great response from the hockey academy here. But what I'm hearing from Patrick is that the lodge is saying this, where I think if the board of directors of the lodge knows what an issue this is, and that maybe it's in their best interest to maintain a better environment for their long-term renters and their owners, to spend the money and have a security guard there who will actually do something to the limit they can, or maybe just as a deterrent. Because it does no good to call Saturday morning and talk about a problem that had Friday.
Right. They're calling us Friday night as well. So we went over Friday, this weekend, great example. We went over Friday night. There was an issue with one team from one area, apparently. We went over, did our walkthroughs like we do every weekend, every Friday, every Saturday, every hotel. Saturday, we got the call saying they were an issue the night before. We said, okay, if they are, ask them to leave. They didn't. They called us at 10 o'clock for a noise complaint. We went over there, we talked to the group. They called back at 11, said same group was noisy. We went back over there and they were already done for the night. So it's not,
But you guys shouldn't be.
it's
taking
not
up your
3 in the
time with all that
morning.
stuff.
But 10 o'clock is quiet hours and we understand that. That's our enforceable job here.
The
So
lodge has got a responsibility to their guests.
Well, we're trying to explain to them that it's not the ideal position that 11 o'clock at night is the ideal time to, if you're gonna commit to kick people out while they're intoxicated,
Yeah,
that's
but
not the
it's
best.
dangerous for you
Let's-
guys to go
let's-
into a group of intoxicated people when you're outnumbered, 27 to 1.
Tell them to get lost.
We don't mind that. That's our job. That's okay with that.
That's what we do, but we're trying to problem solve so it doesn't get to that point where we're asking, where
That's what I'm trying to say.
they're making us enforce.
See, I
For
think when we
trespassing.
had security guards in the lodges years ago,
Mhm.
it was dealt with there just by the fact that they saw someone in a security guard uniform. Created a good first round of buffer.
And most of the lodges do, and they still do.
Okay.
And they have, in this particular establishment, is the one that's having the issue. The other ones that have the security guards.
Sounds exciting.
The only other thing is lots of cars, as you can see. 32,000 on one board. I tried to get the one on Valley Road to do both sides. It's still, it won't do it right now for some reason, so it's still just doing cars leaving, say coming from Village back out of town, and that's up 6,000 just from last month, so. And as you can see, there's points where there's over 100 cars an hour. That's vacation week, obviously. Quite a few cars.
Driving in exceptional manner last week.
Parking is fun too.
No, I just love when no one will let me out of my driveway. Wonderful. You shouldn't be going fast enough for me to not be able to get out of my driveway.
Jim,
Yes, so
We haven't forgotten.
it's cold and gonna get colder. So we're on a temperature roller coaster. Looking at a potential storm on Monday. Hopefully, it'll be good for everybody if we get a foot of snow. With the cold temperatures, we need a blanket, if you will, a little bit of insulation. But at any rate, things are good. We did have the company that put the plow package together for us over in Maine, came and got the wing plow mount, took it off the truck today, and they're gonna build us a new one. New and improved, hopefully. But other than that, all the equipment's good so far, so. In good shape.
Gotta get over this.
So we got two, yeah. And
That's the higher rate.
yes.
all right, calendar review. Our next meeting is January 26th, 2022 at 3. Board is meeting tomorrow. Okay, and the bond and budget hearing will be on February 9th at the Waterville Valley Conference Center.
Yeah, so that's just a follow-up to the discussion that we had during budget hearings. So we could not secure the split.
Right.
Are we doing one or two this year?
The school doing one as well.
The school has to have one because they have a.
Did we do two last year or did we do this?
Well, we did it because of the May.
Right, that was
we
it.
did
Okay,
another-
that was it. So it's, yeah, the one
We're
on
gonna have
February
the
9th
one-
for the town.
Yeah.
Yeah, the school has their own schedule.
Yeah.
What's the date of town meeting this year?
Town meeting is March 9th. And polling and location and time,
8th, March 8th,
or
March 8th for a town meeting.
is it the,
Yeah,
I'm sorry, whatever the second.
yeah,
Tuesday.
second Tuesday.
Sorry.
And that's the conference center as well.
That's gonna be at the conference center as well. And if you're okay with that, we need to post polling and location. So if you're okay with the conference center, we will do it there. And we'll keep the polling period as noon to 5. because this is not a state or federal election, so we are okay with the 5 hours.
And then town meeting at 5:30.
And then town meeting at 5:30, if you're still okay with that.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that all we need?
The town report stuff, those items are,
Oh, yeah, as far as if you could be thinking about for the next meeting, dedication and
And the town report input is due to you the 21st.
I asked for Friday, the 21st of this month, yes.
I will get something out to you guys as soon as I have it written, so you can fix the grammar. Spelling.
If it's a nice day outside, I got nothing to worry about.
if it's a nice day, you'll be busy.
I've been busy walking around town.
That's good.
Okay. New business, the water project bid review and award.
We had eight packets pulled and 6 bids that came in. The bid tabulation is there with the recommendation letter from the engineer. They are recommending the low bidder, which is Granice and Sons Incorporated, $797,500 for the base bid. I have reached out to the town of Goffstown and asked the town administrator to have somebody give us a call regarding and because that company has done the work for them. He said within a day or two, we should be getting that. I was hoping I'd have it today. By the end of the week, I should have some feedback from them. You know, most towns, all of us towns are very careful when we talk about it, but what we're asking about, did they do the work within contract? And did they do it up? Those are our 2 main concerns.
Is it worth throwing Jim and Dylan and over and having them go down and see what they did?
Probably can't see anything that they did because it was a
Backfill.
sewer line
Yeah,
extension.
but you could probably talk to the guys that are
Yeah.
running the sewer department and see what they think, as opposed to the town.
If they want to go down in the river, sure, no problem. Go down during a snowstorm. That may make it more fun. Yeah, I don't,
I think
Yeah,
that would be, it was, we kind of got burnt the last time. We won't say who it was, but it didn't work out real well.
yeah, we'll continue to follow up on.
Okay, what is the grant award? What is the DW security?
So it's a drinking water security grant. We're gonna put a fence around the well. So the state is gonna give us $25,000 to help us do that. Well, 2. Well, 3 already has a fence.
Right.
Right, but it's gonna encompass.
It
It will
encompasses
encompass the treatment building
Right,
and the whole area.
that's where we're gonna move the trail over.
That's correct.
But that doesn't happen until the spring.
Yeah, it'll be good.
Yeah, it's part of the project.
It's part of the project. This just gives us funding to help us. do it.
Correct.
Okay, so that we accept the grant award for the security fence around pump number 2.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
In the awarding of the bid.
I will make a motion to award the bid to, what's the name?
And Greens,
Sure, and Green's Company, in the amount of, how much?
$797,500.
Said,
I'll second that. All those in favor?
Aye.
I assume that because we cut out that project of the contingency line and that kind of thing, that kind of reduced the overall, what was needed from this contractor, correct?
We cut out the add alternates, which were the improvements to the well building 2. The hydrant contingency had already been removed from the bids.
Okay. So what are we doing with well building number 2?
Well, we're going to talk to local contractors, carpenters, because most of it was the installation of a new door and some roofing and some other insulation and stuff. We can do that locally much cheaper than what was in the bid.
Okay.
So we'll take that out of the contingency.
Of 165.
Yeah.
160.
Okay, town election office positions. You know, we have 1 selectman open. What else do we have open?
We do. We have 2 library trustees. We have a moderator, trustee of the trust funds, and supervisor of the checklists, along with the selectman position. That are the filing period is January 19th to January 20th. Next Wednesday,
Next Wednesday, to Wednesday,
till
Friday,
Friday,
Wednesday, Friday.
the following.
the following Friday.
Okay. $1 million wastewater bond issue closing and document completion.
Did you do the video? We need to have it, because we need a signature on it. But the results of the bond sale went very well. Ended up being 2.36. Yeah. We're very
Getting what we
happy with
can.
that. Yeah, and we are maxing out on the length of the loan to make it match the rest of the borrowing that we will do for the rest of the cost of the project.
The cemetery plot request.
Yeah, from Ray and Matt.
Yeah, I have no problem at all with the fact that they're eligible to be buried in our cemetery, but haven't we always said?
They are asking for an exception to our
If
regulation.
you look at, well, the regulation allows the select board to grant a special exemption to any of the provisions in the.
But I'm not quite sure why one is
So
needed.
our
They want
regulations,
this, they want their planning, I don't think they have a lot of errors. So they want whoever's in charge of planning and executing their estate, once they pass, to make it as easy as possible. So they have burial plots instead of having to come to the town and ask for them.
because right now our regulations are you can't even sign up for.
Right,
Until you get-
I know that, I know that, until you're dead,
Yes.
yes.
Then you
So if you're dead, you can't. sign up.
Unless you have a relative who's already there.
Right.
That's right. And so
Makes you
what
wonder
they're
how to
asking,
fix that.
well, again,
Right,
you know,
But-
if you want to change
right.
the regulation, that's another.
but it does, there is one
conversation.
provision at the end there, that we can, the
That's
select
right.
board can.
That's right.
can
And so
grant-
Ray and Pat are
Is,
requesting.
is this going to result in a lot of other people saying, I want to reserve my spot too?
It could, but I think this is a special exception. I think if you look at terms of service and terms of residency, for them, I think that they're on a higher ground than most people.
Well, I believe that as well. So I just want to make sure, because we
Yeah.
do this all the time with,
Yeah.
with personnel issues, for instance, we will look at what that person's contribution has been, how long they've been with us and making some of our decisions about personnel issues. We need to do the same thing here. This is not like opening the floodgates and anybody who wants to reserve a spot. can do it.
Everybody who would want to do this would have to go through the same
Right,
process.
right.
And you can have the same conversation.
I think Mike, comments that Mike made and you
Right.
made,
Right.
make the point.
So I will make a motion to grant that exception.
I will second that motion.
All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Okay.
That's what they don't need, so it's a long time off.
Long time. Old business, the chapel committee update.
So you have the document, it includes everything that you discussed with them. And if you're all right with it, I'll move it to town council.
Yeah.
Get it finalized, hopefully by the next meeting.
Okay,
so that we can, they are working on an appraisal.
Yep.
And if you like, I can contact the assessor and see. if
Appraiser
we
and
could-
assessor.
Well, the town assessor.
Yeah.
To maybe get, they won't give us an appraisal, but they could give us.
The assessment.
The assessing.
Right, the assessor is not an appraiser.
That's correct.
Right, I would wait till we get the appraisal and have the assessor review.
Okay. They're just having problems finding appraisers.
Yes,
to
that
Come
is.
in and
Really?
do that, and they're running a little shows. On that.
I'll call Terry and I can give her some names.
so the next step in this process is to review the proposed PNS at town meeting.
No. This, so
We can
you guys
We can vote on
have
the
to.
sign.
No, you can sign the conditional purchase and sale. That's what you were told to do by town meeting. It is still a conditional and the actual closing has to be approved by town meeting.
So all the conditions have to be met.
That's correct.
And then with the purchase.
But we just had to have it signed prior to.
You must
town
have that
meeting.
P and S signed
Signed
before town.
before
meeting,
town meeting.
Or you don't have an
Authorization.
authorization.
Right.
That's correct.
Okay, so let's see what our town council says on that,
Yeah.
right? Do we have anything else on water and wastewater projects update?
No.
Board concerns and directives? Trying to get my data to up a little bit.
So you have, the last page of your packet is, a notice that the renewable energy committee would like to have twice in. So you voted on both for the conservation commission last meeting.
Right,
So if you could just verify the committee.
I moved to. Kelly Cannon to the renewable.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Mark, there was one thing about the wastewater.
Yeah, see, I knew there was.
No, it's a good thing, though.
No, it's a good thing.
I received an email last Tuesday from the EPA requesting some more additional information about our process. So instead of me emailing them directly, I called them first because I wanted to get some answers from them before I gave them the information they wanted.
Yeah.
And the lady who's writing our permit, Michelle Barton, her name is, she had told me that our permit, we should see it within 2 to 3 weeks. And that was the last Tuesday. So.
So you were saving like the big.
This might not be good news.
Well,
No, it is good news because.
She
also
told us,
you.
right, she told us that the final permit is identical to our draft permit, basically.
Yeah.
And they wrote in our compliance schedule already into the permit. So what that is, we don't have to meet the new permit until the new plan's
Which is
online.
ridiculous.
That was
Correct.
the
That
big
was
question.
So that's
So we get
54 months.
54 months.
Yeah.
We get
Yeah, this puppy
54
dog.
months before to build. the new pool. So that was a major.
Any news on that electrical line in that lot?
No.
Okay. I guess we're ready to go into non-public.
Yeah.
And I have a motion to go into
I
non-public.
so moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks, guys.
For
No, just planning board tomorrow. We'll be.
I'll log in.